Started. We are live. Thank you for tuning in. Let me help you, a loved one or friend, find your vegan soul through food, people, events, and culture. We are talking about the HBCU College of Plant-Based Lifestyle. And for those of you that do not know what HBCU stands for, it's Historically Black Colleges and Universities. Here to tell us all about it is Joe St. George, Esquire, the plant-powered lawyer. How you doing, Joe? It's been a while.
Nice to see you again. It's been great.
So talk to us. What is the HBCU College of Plant-Based Lifestyle Medicine?
So I'm the founder, and the HBCU College of Plant-Based Lifestyle Medicine is a 501c3 educational organization that focuses and works specifically on HBCU campuses to bring a training and education into their current allied health curriculum that focuses on showing or teaching the students on how to prescribe plant food as medicine with 9 lifestyle interventions. Those lifestyle interventions are free, cost effective, and we call them the 10 laws of health, and I'll get into that in a moment. But our goal is, and our mission is to, by 2030, to have 2,000 students trained at the college level on the 50 campuses that have schools of allied health, so that they come out with a certificate and or degree program and become certified in plant-based lifestyle medicine, so they can then go into the practice of making primary care plant-based care. Currently, our medical system is set up on focusing on using 2 modalities, and that is pharmacological interventions or surgical interventions. But we have not been focusing on what is going to change health outcomes, and that is only through plant-based lifestyle medicine, looking at the lifestyles of individuals, the cause and effect, and using plants and lifestyle interventions to reverse chronic disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. These are diseases that disproportionately impact the communities of color. So our organization is focused on partnering with our HBCUs. We have an MOU with the largest HBCU in the country, that's Southern University, to develop a degree and certification program so that people in the community can also become certified coaches, as well as the students who go on to be physicians who will learn the traditional pharmacological medicine and surgical interventions, but they'll also have and been trained in how to use plant-based lifestyle medicine. And our medicine and our practice is based in a creationist model. And we say creationist because it's for those who have a faith and they believe in God who created this universe, who set laws in motion with regards to health. And most people don't know that the Holy Scriptures has a whole health plan. That's the best health plan in the universe, better than what we can do on this planet. And we use that as a foundation, starting with teaching students how to trust these plant-based natural remedies. And so that's our organization. We have scholarship funds. We have a training for students, for staff. We've been on several campuses, Coppin University, Morgan, FAMU, Meharry. We've been doing programs I'll talk about a little bit more so that people can truly understand we are a new entity. We came out of the pandemic. I am by practice a medical malpractice lawyer. I defend and prosecute malpractice cases. And of course, I learn and see things in the medical industry that other people don't see. And so as a result of my experience and my own personal experiences in hospitals, what I have found after 40 years of practicing plant-based lifestyle myself, I've been vegan, plant-based since I was 15. And I can tell you that we're at a place in a precipice in the medical industry that all physicians and patients are looking for a different way of dealing with chronic disease. And so, but the problem is the practice of medicine is taught one way. It is not taught so that people can ascertain the causes of their root chronic issues that are embedded in lifestyle and focus on utilization of plants and natural remedies. And so we don't have enough practitioners. I can count on my two hands how many African American practitioners that are skilled in using plants. However, in America, the fastest growing community that's turning to plant interventions and plant-based lifestyle is the African American community. But when they go to their doctors, they can't have these conversations because their doctors are not trained. So that's why our mission is to train by 2030, 2,000 physicians of color in our communities that then the community can go to and feel confident that they're being directed on how to use an intervention that it is not only aligned with their culture and what we have always relied on in the motherland of Africa, but also is aligned with their faith, because it's a faith that what people believe, whether you use pharmacological medicine or if you use plants, you got to believe that both work. And so in our community, because we've had issues with Tuskegees and there's a lot of lack of trust in the current medical industry, our community needs a medical practice that's aligned with their faith. So that's what our organization is about. And that's who I am. I'm the founder and I'm a lawyer who's lived through chronic issues. I'm a cancer survivor only on plants. So I'm a living witness of what plant-based lifestyle medicine can do and what your faith in it can catapult you to lead the discussion on.
You're tuning in to Naja Speaks, and I am talking to Joe St. George, Esquire, founder and chief officer of the HBCU College of Plant-Based Lifestyle Medicine. You're speaking my language, Joe St. George. Holistic health. And you know, it's sad what's happening in this side of the world. What do you call it? The Western medicine or Eastern medicine? The belief system isn't there, but the system works. The holistic wellness, whole food, plant-based food as medicine system, it does work. We have a video here. Do you want me to share it so we can show the viewers what this is all about?
Yes, especially because it gives some information about our schools and what our mission is on the campuses. We're going to transform the health of the students and transform the health of the communities around them. Please share.
All Wow. Wow. I am so impressed. Okay. What is the HBCU College of Plant Based Lifestyle Medicine? I am feeling the whole thing. Okay. So now you're going to have to tell us. So this is already launched, like you said, right? And the colleges that you're and universities that you're currently working with. And I saw some people. I saw the plant-based coach in there, and I see hip hop is green is involved. How are you doing it? Who else is working with you on this, and what are the challenges that you're currently facing really keeping this going, and how you're overcoming or planning to overcome any of these challenges?
Yeah, so we have worked with, like I said, FAMU, Harry, Morgan State, Coppin, and we have a big MOU with Southern University. And I want to just give a little bit of background because when we first started, we've just been in existence just 4 years. And you recall we started focusing on policy, on healthcare policy, because when you're trying to launch something that's large and has a big impact, specifically on institutions that need new means of teaching health, you have to have the policy and support of legislators to support it because our institutions, especially HBCUs, are very dependent on federal and state funding. And so
Mhm.
we went to the legislators. We've gone to on Capitol Hill. We've gone to the state legislators to seek funding to first help us with developing within the school. So we're not looking to start a separate college, start a separate entity. We work within the institutions to bring the funding, the pay for scholarships, the professors, and then the programmatic efforts within the institutions. And so we've been working with the Plant-Based Food Association as our lobbying partner to really talk about, to get the legislators to understand the priority. We speak directly to them to say, look, healthcare is over a third of the GDP of the debt that is expended in America, and you have a crisis with chronic disease, and you're spending more year after year, and particularly in communities of color. We have the solution. Our schools can become the infrastructure and the place where we transform the people, the health of people of color at the institutions that educate most of our young people and our adults, our alumni. And so we started focusing on policy, helping them to say, look, we need more investment. We're looking this year, we have had conversations with the new HHS secretary, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy, because last week there was an announcement by the President of the United States on investment in HBCUs. And so our organization has said, look, if there's going to be any investment, there has to be an investment in the health of our people, because we can't get wealth if we don't have our health. And as a lawyer, I have always been on the wealth building side as a corporate transaction lawyer, as well as a healthcare lawyer. But when we're sick and barely can get by, we spend more money on trying to get our health back when we could be doing and having a program training our young people. Well, in our research, in our policy side, we found that our students are coming into schools with pre-diabetes,
Mm.
diabetes at 18 years old, high blood pressure. You'll see that in our brochure, what the health problems of our students coming as teens. And so then they're on this trajectory of being serious chronically ill with multiple diseases by the time they're 30 or 40. We said we need to arrest this and do it on HBCU campuses. And so that's what we've been sharing with the legislators, HHS, to say, look, there needs to be massive investment in these three areas, not only scholarships so we can raise and train a pipeline of students who know how to use integrative medicine, meaning integrating and still utilizing traditional medicine, but using a plant-based lifestyle medicine, that's the creationist model, as primary care, meaning we use that first before we start getting into drugs, before we start cutting and removing organs, right? And so we have put before them a proposal that we need to build HBCU plant-powered clinics and centers of innovation. We've given them blueprints to say, look, these are the schools, starting with Southern University, where we need to build these critical infrastructures that will be places of innovation for those in the plant-based food industry and farmers, because farmers to work with the physicians so that we own our supply chain. Our problem is we don't own how food gets to us. It just comes
Right.
to us on trucks. We don't
Right.
own anything. And our farmers have been regretfully uh, decimated by the practices, the discriminatory practices of
Yeah.
the USDA. And I
Yeah.
have been on those committee meetings and so forth. And so what we're saying is we need to raise the number of African American farmers utilizing our HBCU 1890 schools that have lots of land. We need to put investment in commercializing and then utilizing what is grown on those campuses to then supply them to the cafeterias, because less than maybe 3% of our cafeterias obtain their produce from a Black farm. Less than 1%. And we have 107 schools, and 6 organizations control the cafeteria and food system. And only one of those institutions that controls the food and cafeteria is African American owned. So we have a problem with owning supply chain. And so our focus is to say, we have the doctors that will prescribe. Now we need to marry them with the farmers. So we say from farm to doctor to table. People say from farm to table. And the reason why we put that doctor in, because he's the quarterback. He's the person who can say to their patient, you have a problem with your kidneys. Here's my prescription. And that prescription is a whole plant meal plan that can reverse their diabetes in 6 to 7 weeks. And so this is why there has to be a marriage between our farmers, who then will grow for that physician, and that physician and the clinics will have a farm on site that would then prescribe and deliver the food to the patients. So let me share with you how the public policy piece comes in. Currently, since 2021, Congressman McGovern has introduced a bill called the Medically Tailored Meal Bill. That bill gives now HHS, Medicare, and Medicaid the authority to pay for, under insurance, plant-based meals that are prescribed by either a doctor, nutritionist, or dietitian. That means the patient will not come out of their pocket for plant-based foods. It will be a part of their prescription. When they go see their doctor, they can get up to 20 weeks, meals delivered to them, 3 meals a day, 5 or 7 times a week, to have the outcomes of changing their diet, their habits, and lifestyle. What that bill hasn't passed yet. And we need every plant-based person hands on deck to push HHS and to push this administration and legislators to deal with this real serious issue.
That's the call to action.
That
That's
is
the call to action.
so that's one of many calls to action.
One of many. That's a very important, and I'm glad you talked about that, because I'm part of the Healthy Futures Student Coalition, which is now the Plant Powered School Food Coalition, and we changed the name. So sorry guys if I got it wrong, but we just changed the name, and that's dealing with the K through 12 schools, because it's important to get those plant-based options on the menu. USDA has approved a black bean burger for the first time in history, so we want that to work out. This is an important deal. Food is medicine. Real food, whole food, plant-based is medicine. And in DC, they have the Bernard Hospital, right? We were just talking before we went live. I'm saying, like, why can't this be the model of hospitals? I mean, Maryland, for one, is a hospital state. We really need to be working on things like that. We have Morgan State University here. So they should be all over this thing. I'm so excited about this initiative, Joe. I mean, you can't even imagine. So what is needed? Where do people need to go? And what are the success stories you have to share with us about what's taking place at the HBCU College of Plant-Based Lifestyle Medicine?
So our success stories is the fact that the students on the campuses are waiting and wanting our programs. Every campus we've been on, the students are like, can we start this tomorrow? Can we get a scholarship? Because our scholarships include tuition scholarships to be in the program, as well as a food scholarship that pays for a 100% plant-based meal. Our impediment is raising the enough money to start a cohort of 20 students on at least starting with one campus. Our goal is to have 5 campuses, and we need to raise the money to pay for these scholarships. And the scholarships, because our schools don't have excessive tuition and fees, it's a $15,000 scholarship that we're asking donors, and particularly those in the plant-based food industry, to contribute. And when the food companies come to the table, they actually get a logo. If you saw in the video, we have a plant-powered logo, student logo, that they can put on their product, so that on their product, when their product is purchased, a portion, 3% of their proceeds, we've asked them to contribute to our scholarship fund, so that as people are buying and we promote product, that there's monies there to fulfill our scholarship plans and agenda. But we are working and meeting with the HHS leaders to say, hey, there's programs within the HHS pipeline, future physicians and future healthcare leaders that could be used to support this very strategic effort that can only happen on an HBCU campus. And so we're putting our campuses at the heart of being the delivery mechanism through which we obtain true health equity. Health equity is not more access to drugs and surgery. Health equity is access to whole, as you said, whole plant-based foods. And that is what is critical, because you can't have health unless you have the appropriate food and nourishment that fuels the body created by God, who gave us the best health plan, and that's a plant-based lifestyle medicine plan. So, we're really very strategically focused, not saying that pharmacological or surgical interventions are not necessary. They are. At the same time, we have to educate even physicians, because we're focused on not only educating students, but also re-educating practicing physicians so that they can learn how to use even plants in emergency care. There's an urgent care. Most people think, oh, plants take too long. No. We have studies. We are an evidence-based organization that focuses on the studies and shows in minutes, when you eat something that has chlorophyll in it, or you put even in your NG tube, the people are in ICU, transformations and changes happen quickly, because the body knows how to respond what's natural that comes from the earth, because creationists believe we come from the earth. And so the earth is where we get our healing. And that's why we follow Revelation chapter 22, verses 2. It says, from the leaves is from the healing of the nation, created by the Creator, who has authority over our bodies, and says when we can have healing and health. And so it's a really combining our faith, and the research and the data shows that when you have a faith combined with any modality, whether it's pharmacological or plant-based, you have better outcomes. So we're saying, let's combine faith with the actual plant-based medicine that God prescribed in his holy scripture, so that we can get the fullness of what the plan was, and that he wished above all things that we prosper and be in health. So we are looking for this opportunity to leverage the research capabilities and funding that can come from HHS, which, as you have probably seen in the media, other schools and bigger schools have been getting billions of dollars to do research. And our schools have been left out of the equation. And it's time for those funds.
Right? That's intentionally.
Well, and as a lawyer who functions in the whole system of healthcare and how it's funded, what has been the traditional model in healthcare is go to the big company because they have the resources to execute to scale, meaning they can scale it at the number of people that need to be served. And when you go to a smaller institution, they can't scale. And what I'm saying to this government is, you got to scale up. If there's going to be a dismantling of DE&I the way it has been traditionally practiced, then we have to emerge another plan that is going to empower our people to independently take care of themselves and own the methods and the means through which they feed themselves, protect themselves, and house themselves. So it's that's in a fair exchange. You're going to remove this program, then you have to give us what everybody traditionally know as the 40 acres and the mule, or the means through which we can take care of ourselves. We don't need handouts. We know how to do this, but we need the basics of giving our land and the resources that have not been given to us because they were used for free for 300 and 400 years. And we need those reparations or repair. And so we call this restorative or regenerative healing of the African American community holistically, a health plan that's rooted in creation and follows the model of creation. And the creationist model, God has always wanted us to be independent, for us to trust only in Him. And if our trust is in Him, we don't need a government handout. We need to learn to trust God. And that's what plant-based lifestyle medicine brings to the table, is a disciplining, because temperance is disciplining ourselves and not engaging in behavior that takes us off our focus of taking responsibility for our health. We choose every day what goes into our mouth. Yes. And if we're choosing destructive food, if we're choosing to put ultra processed food dyes number 10 and 20 that RFK Jr. just said a week and a half ago that he is taking out, he wants to take out of the food supply chain, then we have to then follow suit and cooperate with the strategy that's being laid out before us and take responsibility and say, no, I'm not eating that. That's not, we don't put that in the temple of God, because we have an admonition to recognize that this body is not our own. We don't make our heart beat. We don't make our blood pump. And we certainly don't make our liver and organs function. We have a creator that's in control, that gives us instruction on how to take care of this body. And he gave the plan right there in Genesis 1:2-9. And then he tells us in the end in Revelation that it's always going to be this way. And we have to cooperate. So it's cooperation with this new immersion of healthcare that Robert F. Kennedy is doing his best under the circumstances, under the changes that are happening so rapidly, to bring forth to the world, to all of the United States, but also to address the specific niche issue of African Americans who have not had the resources to take care of ourselves like we should.
Oh man, you just made my day. Because this is really important information, and it is information that we need to share with our communities, and we need the money. We need it. You're talking about $15,000 per student. That's the scholarship. So for 20 students, you need with 300,000,
correct,
500,000, let's just say.
And that will cover our professors. Exactly. Yes.
Look. 500, that, like, come on, I done seen people giving millions to the bit. 500,000 to start. How can they get whoever's listening to this, whoever's watching the replay later on, and I'm going to be chopping these videos up, how can they get to you, Joe? Where can they go to find out more? Where can they go to donate? Where can they go so we can get this thing going?
Yes. And you see right on your screen, we have built a whole digital network, a infrastructure for training and online education. We used all our money to start it, and we just need 30% more to finish this project, so that it's a national database of all things plant-based that allows our students to do their online education as well as in-present education. And they can reach me. There's two ways to reach me. You can reach me at my direct email, which is EXE is an elephant, C is a cat, at HBCU plantbasedlifestyle.com. That's exec, EXEC, at HBCU plantbasedlifestyle.com. Or you can also text me at our business text at 602-326-8663. That's 602-326-8663. 6663. Between the email and the text direct, and that number comes directly to me. You will then, we'll put you on our newsletter, have you attend other events, and particularly we need a legion of plant-based firefighters, and I'm saying firefighters, to go before these legislators, both Democrats and Republicans. I'm independent, and so I have to reach out to everybody, but we need to really go before the HHS director and say we need to prioritize plant food as medicine. Why? Because all of the investment by our government has always been in pharmacological and surgical intervention. There has been an unequal distribution into plant-based lifestyle medicine. And plant-based lifestyle medicine is not alternative care. Most people think, oh, alternative care. No, we are primary care because the Bible says so, right?
Right. I love it. Joe, I got to get that number from you one more time, because I got your email, exec@HBCU plantbasedlifestyle.com, and they are to call what number?
602-326-8663. And they can text, and that comes directly to me. So, we're looking forward to those who want to be on this transformative journey that I believe is a builder of communities, irrespective of ethnicity, background, age, gender, because at the end of the day, no matter who you are or where you live, you have some health problems. And that's what is the uniting issue that Robert F. Kennedy is focused on, and what our organization is focused on. And I'm mentioning his name because he has the top responsibility for the healthcare of everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Our organization is responsible for saying we want to be, our HBCUs must be at the table, but we must have innovative methods that are going to have the best outcomes. And we can't take on other people's agendas. We need to go with an agenda that's consistent with our faith and consistent with our indigenous practices that date back, when we were in Africa before we were brought here, and that's the use of plants. And even in every developing country, under the World Health Organization, plant-based medicine or herbal medicine is a part of primary care in every other country except the United States. So that's why we have to really lobby for these two things: money, resources, and then our own dedication to making the changes that we're saying we want to see in others. We got to be that change ourselves.
Yes, folks, please email exec@HBCU plantbasedlifestyle.com. Call, text Joe St. George Esquire at 602-326-8663. Here we are. We're talking about the HBCU College of Plant-Based Lifestyle Medicine. It is way, 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 way overdue. Long overdue. This should have been happened. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure what the slowdown is. I mean, people have their conspiracy theories. We're owed the 40 acres and a mule. Absolutely. This is intentional. They want us to be unhealthy. We know who they are. Who's they? The people that want us to be unhealthy. You know who they are. So, we have to band together and make all of this happen. There's churches out there that need to be engaged with this. Yeah, give up the fried chicken. Let's go and start getting into those gardens. Shout out to the Black Church Food Security Network, Pastor Hebert Brown III. Is he engaged in this? If he's not engaged, he needs to be engaged in this. I'm sure he is, right? He's somewhere in there, right? So we need all of the resources we can get. It needs to happen. And what year are we talking about? It needs to happen by what? What year?
Well, we have to have our 2,000 trained, certified healthcare practitioners by 2030. But we want to have groundbreaking on our plant-based lifestyle centers on at least one HBCU campus by 2026. So we have short-term goals. Next year, we need commitments from not only, and it's a partnership. It's a partnership of the HHS that has the resources that can give us the funding to do the groundwork, and then we need the private sector to step up and work with our schools, because this effort is not just an effort that will need constant federal funding. No, the way we have set up the revenue model is that it will be self-sustaining within 3 to 5 years and can pay for itself. We will not be dependent on federal government funding. We would just use it as startup ramp up because that's what should be given to our schools. And then we become self-sufficient in the management of the healthcare of our people by reducing costs and increasing new innovations of products and industries, because right now people are losing jobs in industries that are disappearing. AI is taking over. But the
I don't
one
even
thing
want to get into
AI
that. That's another show. That is a
I
show.
know, but
I got a lot of stuff going on with that. So I can attest, folks, the future is going to be different because of AI. You just said it. That's a whole nother show.
AI can't take away is AI can't create food. Okay.
Oh,
And even though
not yet, but I'm sure somebody's working
well,
on it, Joe.
here's the thing. I mean, we have biological food that is lab food. Lab food is
Yes,
going
yeah.
out, and that's what
The
ultra
meats, they're doing that with the
processed food is.
alternative meats for the in the vegan movement, which
Right.
I wouldn't take it because I that us indigenous people, we not doing that right now.
No, and we need food from the ground. But the question is how are we going to we have land and resource. We have land, but we don't have the financial resources to create to create the equipment necessary to do it to scale for our entire community. And that's what we have to get into, is focusing on the scale of what we're doing, but in small pockets on various campuses, so that we can create a supply chain and be owners. We have to be owners, because if something happens and there's a shutdown, oh, just understand the trucks won't come in our hoods, okay? And let's keep it real. If we're not growing ourselves, what happens to us? So we have to prioritize our communities in a strategic way. And I believe that this is something that our nation is recognizing, that even America saying that we need to own manufacturing. Absolutely, we need to own manufacturing, but the African American community has to own its manufacturing. And so we're saying and there's the motto, make America healthy again. But we're saying make Black America healthy again, because until Black America is healthy, we're the foundation of America. When your foundation is broken, you can't build on that. You can't change that. You have to fix the foundation. So make Black America has to be prioritized, because you're building on a shaky foundation if you don't deal with these underlying cracks and volcanoes that have broken up the health and wellness of our people. And so when we talk about it from that perspective, we recognize that the one thing that every government has to deal with, and that is a workforce. How do we get a workforce engaged in these new methods of bringing food to the table through vertical farming, hydroponic farming? Let's tell the truth, sis. Kids ain't growing up, waking up and saying, I want to go farm. That's just
Oh no, and I'm not absolutely not. I'm just starting to plant. I'm just starting to
right.
start a little hydroponic planting in a what is it, the bag garden. I'm using one of those grow bags. I'm 53, sis. So I already know the kid. Like, and you said something that is a great closing to this segment, and it's make Black America healthy again. And on that note, I think it's a perfect time to just shut it down and just tell people that they need to email you at exec@hbcuplantbasedlifestyle.com. Call, text 602-326-8663. Joe, it has been a pleasure. It's been a couple of years of, that testimonial experience I had out in Annapolis. Bless you, bless you. I'd like to do a little bit more of that. Not a lot, time. But we'll talk. We'll definitely talk. So this is not the last time. We were going to come and talk again, and let's stay connected. Please don't let it be a few years.
Oh no, I will be back on, because I'm hoping to make an announcement in another week or two about some things. So what we're talking about, it was timing. Sometimes we think something needs to happen right away, but sometimes there's a particular timing, and certain things have to be aligned properly, laying that foundation. And so I believe we're right where we need to be. And we have done a lot on our campuses. So when people go to that brochure, and they'll see a lot of things that we've already have done to lay this foundation, so then we can now scale to do what is the big things that need to be done, and bringing these lifestyle centers that provide housing, all plant-based, all green housing, all green everything, and the school within it that then provides the medical care in an all green plant powered facility that, you know, will change how healthcare is done in our community. So thank you so much. I so appreciate this opportunity to share my heart, my passion, because I fight for this. I mean,
yeah, I know. So, dude, you don't gotta tell me, but you can tell the people. I already know how you do. Okay, I already know, folks. Listen, you're tuning in to Naja Speaks. Please subscribe to this channel. Go to najaspeaks.com. Support the program. And the way you can support the program, because all of this setup costs. This is not a free setup here. It costs money to run this stuff. And I'm working on getting a production assistant because it's becoming overwhelming me with the cameras and editing and stuff like that. So please donate at blackvegsociety.org. It is a tax deductible donation. Please go to blackvegsociety.org and donate. On that note, please stay well, be blessed, and have a safe weekend. Be healthy.
Meeting you where you are. The meaning behind the slogan is that we meet the community where they are on their journey towards holistic health, a plant-based lifestyle, and veganism, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We do this through people, food, events, and culture. Our 6 pillars are earth, eating, education, empowerment, enlightenment, and events. We are Black Veg Society.